Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Lupo's Filmography Symposium. I am your host, Uptown Lupo 420, and I am here with my friend slash co-hosts Christian and Rob.
What's
Hey.
up?
Hello.
And Rob, we saw a movie this week. Tell us about it.
Yes, we did. So Robert De Niro's Neil McCauley is professional thief and criminal. He and his team, comprised of Val Kilmer, Tom Sizemore, and Danny Trejo, and others along the way, come in and out. They commit crimes across Los Angeles as detective and stepdad of the year Vincent Hanna, played by Al Pacino, works to catch them, the group of criminals, and get them off the street. This movie is the brainchild of Michael Mann. It's notable as the first time Al Pacino and Robert De Niro have interacted on screen, and it reunites them, father and son, from Godfather Part 2. The year is 1995, and Michael Mann has made a name for himself directing cult classics like Thief and Manhunter. The last of his movies is the most commercially successful, and the reason this movie exists. It's The Last of the Mohicans. In 1995, this film will establish his legacy as one of the best and most stylistic directors of the turn of the century. Today, we talk about Michael Mann's 1995 classic, Heat.
All right.
The ratings now. What do you guys think?
I'm going to go ahead. Are we doing this out of 10?
I do
I like a
five
nice
usually.
out of 5, yeah.
I like
Okay.
a nice out of 5, yeah.
That's perfect. All right. I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of a possible 5 Lupos.
Always a very good standard of metric.
Hold
I
on, it's your first time watching it, Jim, so you go last because I think
okay.
this is the most important rating. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10. I'll
4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, 4 out of 5. We're doing 5. I forgot.
I was like, this is going to be a very interesting conversation.
Very different. That very different. Rating. No, 4 out of 5. All right, Jim. What do you think? Your first viewing.
So so if you go and look at my letterbox, you can see my full throttle opinion.
Here, plug it here. Let me find your
Plug.
username.
Is Uptown Lupo 420.
And mine is Robbie Brett at Robbie Brett.
At Skip Sparky for mine.
There you go. And so, like, when I it's 4 stars, 4 out of 5. I'm not gonna give the whole spiel, but it's 4 out of 5. Stars.
I mean, I figured we would all kind of like be pretty
Close.
much in agreement. Yeah. I mean, my thing with this movie is like I wouldn't change anything about it, but it is like just it is just too long. I feel like it's as good as it is, and like it's just too long for me, and it gets too slow at certain points, and the slow points are kind of important for the movie, but it's still like it's not engaging enough for me. It's not really my favorite Michael Mann movie either. My favorite Michael Mann movie is Collateral, but I think this is like the most definitive Michael Mann movie. This is like if you wanted to encapsulate his whole like what he does as a filmmaker, this is that movie for him. That's what I think about it.
I had a couple different thoughts. So, like, kind of the whole idea of this podcast is that I don't watch a lot of movies. And recently, due to it being Christmas time, Christmas break, I guess, I've had a lot of time to sit here and kind of consume a bunch of movies. And I always thought the idea of like interpreting art as a little bit pretentious. But like, now that I guess I watched enough, like, there's a story that you can follow, but then there are also certain elements, symbolisms, and themes. And I found some of them like kind of interesting. Like the way that cops and criminals kind of have like this relationship with women, that they're like basically like they're trying to say a lot of things about how like they're basically the same. They're like so obsessed with like doing their thing that they kind of neglect those around them. Or the one that I really enjoyed was like the I don't really know how to describe it, but it's like towards the back half of the film when Robert De Niro has a chance to escape the life that he leads, and he's like driving underneath the tunnel, and he's kind of like accepting the idea of finally like getting away. And there's like this blinding white light, and then he kind of like abandons that as it abandons like that idea when it goes like black again as he goes out of the tunnel to like maybe I'm just trying to interpret too much, but like there's something with the ending gunfight when they're at the airport, like just the blinding light. Um, so I was noticing those things. And I thought it was pretty cool, but yeah, kind of same thing. If they could cut out like one or two like your girl yelling at you scenes, that probably would have been good. Like I got the message.
Can I
The
step
one
in
you
here, Jim?
can't.
Yeah.
Real quick, can I just say the one you can't cut though is the one with Val Kilmer and Ashley Judd because that one's so good. That was like one of the best.
I agree. I agree.
But yeah.
Jim, so like a lot of my notes here are like pretty close to what you have. I don't know the exact quote, but it's pretty much the entire ethos of the movie, like the logic it operates off of is Robert De Niro. He's sitting down with I think he says it to Val Kilmer the first time. He says, "Have nothing that you can't leave in 30 seconds flat if you spot the heat around the corner." Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really important to the
Integral.
movie. Integral. Integral to the movie. In the way that it ends, because like you're saying, he could have got away, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had the heat around the corner. He's leaving, but he couldn't fucking let it be. He couldn't let go. He couldn't leave it. Right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
to me kind of where he fails in this movie. And interestingly enough, I think Al Pacino does succeed in that in his own weird way in the
Yeah, he
movie.
does. Yeah.
Because Hannah is at the hospital with Lauren and I forget the wife.
I
Whatever
don't
the
remember.
The
the
short
wife's
hair.
name. But yeah. But he basically accepts that like his marriage again, his third marriage has failed, right? Because he can drop it in 30 seconds when he has to go. And that's all he does. That's who he is. He chases the bad guy. He gets the bad guy. He's what does he say? It's like I'm no more than what I'm going after, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. So he can leave the important things behind. He has no attachment to it at the end of the day. And there is this cognitive dissonance that they both face where it's a struggle of, I guess, identity versus desire, right? He's a thief. Al Pacino is a cop. That's what they are. Robert De Niro is very lonely and does have this human attachment that, with his friends and the wife, and you can kind of tell he wants a family, but he'll never have it because of who he is. And Al Pacino is going through the exact same thing, but Al Pacino is the one that kind of lets go of the desire and goes into his identity more and just accepts who he is, and that's why he wins. He is able to leave and drop it in 30 seconds flat when he feels the heat. I don't know, Jim. I think you were pretty close.
Let's go.
That's just me. That's just me. That's
Yeah, I
kind of how
agree.
I.
When Jimmy was talking, I was like, "Hold up, let him cook." Like I was
Yeah.
like, "Well, I did not expect that at all. That was
I
pretty
won.
crazy."
I won at
'Cause, like,
movies.
and I get what you mean by that, like the idea of like, there's a certain amount of pretentiousness, like with like, how certain people talk about certain movies. But I think to an extent, like, I don't know. It's kind of just like the whole point. What is the point of like? It's all about analyzing like humanity.
Yeah.
So like
The
stuff we
pretentiousness
interact
doesn't
with.
come
Yeah.
in the interpretation. The pretentiousness comes from the attitude from the people
Yeah.
giving you the interpretation. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. It's when you think you're better than everybody else.
Yeah.
But going back to what you said about how they let things go, that's like you're right. That is like the whole. It's almost like the premise of the movie is like which guys can let stuff go and which guys can't. Danny Trejo, his character for a second, it seems like he did let it go. He walked away, and then you find out no,
He was
and that's how he ends
exploited.
up dead. Yeah,
Yeah.
he they took advantage of his his attachments. But the one guy who does let it go, also aside from Al Pacino, is the guy you least expect, Val Kilmer. Yeah, he walks up. That scene is awesome. He is like him in this movie. He really doesn't get enough to do, but he is so good in this movie in like
This was the same
such
year
small
Batman came
ways.
out.
Yeah, he is so good, and just that scene of him looking up there, and he looks strung out the whole movie. It's like awesome.
Mhm.
And then he just like
Especially with the haircut.
turns around to ask the guy for like where food is or something. I don't even
Coffee.
know. But then and then he just takes off, fucking leaves them. And,
Honestly, that could
lives.
drive a pretty big hole in my entire thing and mine and Jimmy's entire thing because she kind of, I don't know, does she signal him like
Oh yeah, she does. She
so?
signals him that something's up. I think.
Yeah,
I don't
he's
know
almost
how
the
exactly,
hole in
but
the
he knows.
thing. He's the hole in the interpretation because like is the one that saves him.
Yeah, but no, because yes. So here's the thing. I don't think it's quite a hole. It's like he
He does
went back
leave.
for her. He went
Yeah.
back for her, and he would have went to jail or died or whatever. But she gave him a chance to get a second chance to do it, to leave, and then when he does leave, he leaves. So I think it's more like just it makes the actual decision he's making very more apparent, like to him, and then he has an actual choice to make, like what he's gonna do.
Can I also just point out that Danny Trejo's character's name in this movie is Trejo.
And when they said that, I like looked at Jimmy. I was like, "That's crazy." They just named him Trejo.
Actually, to add on to Danny Trejo, this movie has so many wild people in the fucking background.
Yeah, All-State guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tom
Henry
Sizemore
Rollins.
is great in this.
Henry Rollins is in this movie.
Who is that? I'm trying to think of it.
Henry Rollins is William Fichtner's bodyguard, Van Zant. He's Van Zant's
Van Zant's
bodyguard,
in the Dark
Dark
Knight.
Knight,
Yeah,
which I really want to talk about that too.
and then Ted Levine,
Yep,
is that what it
Buffalo
is? Yeah,
Bill.
he's in that. Yeah. Uh,
Ashley Judd's like boyfriend that she's cheating on Val Kilmer with.
oh yeah,
That's
Apu.
Hank Azaria,
Yeah,
who is
Apu.
Mo from The Simpsons. Yeah,
Isn't he
Yeah.
Apu too?
Rob
Or
said
no?
that.
he's also
yeah,
in the Birdcage.
Is he Apu or no?
He might be. I don't know.
Okay.
They don't
I
do
thought
Apu anymore.
I forgot
True.
about that.
Jeremy Piven is in this fucking movie.
Yeah, and then Natalie Portman, dude, I completely forgot she was in this movie. Like that, I blocked that out of my brain. Because I haven't seen this since I was like 16, and like kind of what Jimmy was saying, like a lot of the stuff that the deeper stuff the movie's talking about, like went completely over my head. Like I didn't notice anything about like how the movie is talking about like how all this stuff's affecting the women stuff in the movie. Like I wasn't paying attention to any of that when I first watched it. This time, I like all that. It was like whiplash. It was like this movie is not what I remember it being.
It wasn't. It's not just a crime heist movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also, I didn't remember Natalie Portman's character at all, and I also for some reason I thought Val Kilmer died in the movie, and then he just survived, and I was like, all these years I've had this like false memory of him dying, but I think it's just because he got shot or whatever. But then he lives. But
Speaking of first watches, because this wasn't my first watch either. I think I probably saw it around the same time as you. I've maybe seen it a few times here and there. Jimmy,
Yeah.
did you think Robert De Niro was going to be Natalie Portman's dad?
I did too, actually, because I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember from the first time, and I was like, "Is that going to be her dad?" Like, I can't remember. I couldn't remember the whole thing. I was like,
It feels like a first draft idea where some of it stayed in.
Yeah. Jimmy, did you think that, or was that just me?
No.
Okay.
Now,
For some reason, it
you
felt
guys,
like there was hints at that or something, but maybe not. It might have just been, trying to connect dots that weren't there.
Yeah, because I mean, you see enough movies, the patterns start to kind of pop up. So you're like, oh,
But that brings up one of the things I really like. One of the little moments I really like about the movie is early on when Al Pacino's just like completely ragging on Natalie Portman's dad for not taking interest in her and all this shit.
yeah.
and then he doesn't
But
take
then
an
like
interest
he
in her
does the
the entire
exact
movie.
same thing, and he's just as bad, and she ends up like spoilers. She like tries to kill herself, and it's like, bro, you're partially responsible. And I think that's why it led to the decision of him being like, I need to be lives because it's not fair to them to like invest their care into me when I don't care
Can't
about
do
any
the same. Yeah.
job. So I thought that was good. The one scene I think, other than the heist, the bank heist, which is probably the best scene in the best extended sequence in the movie. My favorite scene is when they're going to rob. I guess it's like a warehouse or something. And they're all in the building, and the cops are out in a trailer surveilling them, waiting for them to steal stuff. And Robert De Niro comes out. He kind of backs into a corner, in a dark corner where they can see him, but he's kind of covered from the shadows and stuff. And he's just standing there, waiting, seeing if anything weird is going. And then the cop in the trailer sits down in the trailer, and it makes a noise, his gun against the wall. And there's this amazing back and forth of close-up shot of De Niro and then Pacino, De Niro and Pacino. And De Niro's looking straight into the camera, which is like a surveillance camera. And it's just like one of the most amazing shots. That back and forth, it's so cool. It just like it just I got like butterflies in my stomach watching that. It was so cool.
I'm gonna have
It's
to
so
agree.
tense. Yeah, that was awesome.
One of the best
So that's
shots.
probably my favorite scene in the movie. And I think the way like that the way Michael Mann shoots a movie, I feel like during scenes like that, it's some of the best work in any movie I've seen. But I think because it's such a specific style, and it's sort of realistic and sort of subdued, but still stylized and all this. There are a lot of sequences where it's kind of slower, and I almost feel like the style of the movie makes it a little worse because the movie's so like blue, I guess, or like you know what I mean, like it like looks a certain way. But then when it's there, you get scenes like that. It just like is such a
It
literally
pays off.
it's a whiplash. It's you go from this really slow like it's not even a crime movie at that point. It's a drama, and then you flip the switch, and it's like this super intense, crime thriller.
There's a Michael Mann quote actually where he even says he's like, "This isn't a genre film. This is a drama at its heart."
Right.
I think you're exactly right there.
I kind of understand why he did that, but I think I would like to make it better. Even though I don't know, I hesitate to say that because like I do like a lot of the stuff it's trying to play with, but I just like I was saying to Jimmy, I think the first hour there's so much you could just like
Cut.
consolidate. Yeah, this movie would be at its best at 2 hours 30.
That's I have that exact time written down because I agree. And
Yeah.
I also would have liked, I guess my one criticism other than that, I wanted more Edie and De Niro scenes, or at least one more scene to like really hammer home that he's,
I
really
get
that.
that, but I think the scene that they had together, I think the scene that like sold you on like that he cares about her is when he's leaving and she's still asleep and he's kind of looking at her. So I felt like the relationship was sold enough to me, and like how they're meeting and everything. And actually, I think that was another thing I noticed. And I'll circle back to that though. But the one I really I kind of like feel the same way. The relationship I feel the same way about is actually De Niro and Pacino's relationship. Like I feel like at the end they have this moment where he holds kind of beautiful.
Yeah, I
But,
can't
like,
believe they
at
didn't
the
kiss.
same time, yeah, at the same time, it's like you met this guy once, and like
Yeah.
I don't know. I get you guys have similarities, but like you really care that much? I don't know.
I think
feel
the
like
point there is like they're the only two people that really understand
They get each other.
each other.
I feel like what's doing a lot of heavy lifting with that is that it's Pacino. I think if it was two other guys, it wouldn't be.
Well, I
No.
mean, we have
Nobody
that
would
exact
buy
same
it.
scene. This might be a good time to
Yeah,
talk
that's
about
right. Yeah.
that. For a little background information, this is a remake of another Michael Mann movie. So, coming off the heels and success of Miami Vice, he had the script from 1979 that is basically Heat, and they tried to make it a TV pilot.
Hmm.
That it was it kind of failed. There was a lot of disagreements in casting and like how they were going to handle it and how they like what they were going to cut, what they were going to not cut. Um, it really wasn't made for a TV treatment, so that was what ended up happening. Was it got spliced together and remade as a TV movie called L.A. Takedown.
Mm-hmm.
And Robbie, I think you're right. When you look at the diner scene in L.A. Takedown, the actors, I, I don't want to shit talk it, right? But it is clearly like a rough draft of Heat.
Yeah.
And like the direction isn't quite there yet. But
Yeah.
De Niro and Pacino aren't. The chemistry isn't there between the other two actors. So
other
you're
thing that-
probably right.
The other thing that hurt that too, I think, because it was supposed to be a TV pilot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then it got turned into a TV movie. So like whenever they do that, the budget is already so because it's not an episode. It's not a budget for a season. It's a budget for an episode. And then you're turning an episode into a movie. And so I think it's not even like that Michael Mann. It was just he didn't have the, facilities to do anything he did with what we would see with Heat later on. But
Right.
yeah. So I do think that's interesting though. And also the other thing about it is the whole thing was based on like the cop he knows or something. So like the Neil McCauley guy's like a real guy and everything. He didn't even change the name, which is weird. Because none of it. I think there's a lot of like it's not like a true story, but it's kind of based on.
There are
events.
true elements in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's weird that you just didn't change the name of the guy. It's
you
just
seen-
like it's the same guy.
Have you seen Reservoir Dogs, Rob?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Blue, the old guy,
Yeah.
his real name is Edward Bunker. He was actually like a career criminal before he became an actor.
Hmm.
And John Voight's character is based off of Edward Bunker.
Oh wow! I
And
didn't
when
know
you
that.
look at them side by side, you're like, holy shit, that's awesome.
Wow. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know like a whole lot about his career, criminal or acting, but I do
only
know him
know him
from
from Reservoir Dogs.
yeah. But it's funny. So he had a lot of real life inspiration. The coffee scene, the diner scene, is apparently also based on something true that happened.
Yeah, I actually heard him talk about that today. I was watching that guy, the cop, talk about the movie, and that was actually something that happened, but it wasn't in the same way. It wasn't like he pulled him over. The movie actually goes out of its way to make it more believable. Because the thing that actually happened is crazy. They caught all the guys, I think, or I don't know actually exactly about the before, but they were looking for him. And the cop after work just happened to go out to a diner for coffee, and the guy was there. And they just he just sat down. So it wasn't even like he looked for him, grabbed him, and was like, let's go get a coffee. It was like,
They ran into each other.
run into him. It's just a chance meeting. It's like crazy. So it's so funny that they changed it in the movie to make it because nobody would believe oh, you just ran in,
Yeah.
So here's one I kind of want to get an opinion on, or like your thoughts on. Both of you, I guess, because Jimmy, I know you've seen The Dark Knight. Please tell me you've
I
seen
feel
The
like I
Dark Knight.
have. I feel like I have. I feel like I have.
Please clap.
Because he's got the really cool Batmobile.
Yes. Okay. Well,
Like a tank.
Well, that's
We'll get-
debatable, but
It looks like a tank. It's cool.
Christopher Nolan is
though?
pretty
Is it
vocal.
though?
Christopher Nolan is pretty vocal that this was a big inspiration for The Dark Knight and how he filmed it.
And you can
Rob,
see
do you
that
see
too.
that? Yeah,
Yeah, you
because
can see it when you watch especially that whole
the
opening
opening.
sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
but
thought that so strongly that I like had to Google it, and I was like, okay, shit. Or like it's not just me.
I actually didn't know that. But now that you're saying it, like that makes total sense.
He
I mean, I
actually
imagine.
he moderated the 20th anniversary of the movie, like with all the actors getting back together and stuff.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Yeah, and talks about like how he did it. But like when you look at like okay, it's like this huge city setting where the city is almost its own character. And there are like a bunch like at its heart it's about the two guys, right? The criminal and the cop. Um
Mhm.
but there's all these little emotional stories going on and like how they intersect into these stories and stuff and like okay, you're like wow, like The Dark Knight is formatted pretty closely to this with its own thing, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
the only inspiration, but like you can see it very clearly.
Yeah.
Even like in the score, in the beginning, where it's like that dun 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 dun, dun like that pulsing bank robber score.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which the score in this movie, it's not. I don't think it's utilized a lot, or at least not. But it
It's
is
subtle.
really good, and all the sound design in this is also.
Do you know
People
about the
talk
sound
about.
design
I know a
with the
little
gunshots?
bit. I was gonna say I know a lot of people talk about the gunshots. That was like a big thing because the way it kind of echoes in a way, or what is it? It's the raw sound.
It's
Dub
just
it or
they took the raw sound because
yeah.
they thought it sounded more realistic. Um, and so they ended in the beginning in post they did cut it and edited it and made like put in gunshots and Michael Mann was like this sounds like a movie. um, it's funny because I watched something where Bill Hader's talking about this uh, while he's filming his show Barry and he's like oh okay can you guys he's talking to the sound design guys he's like can you guys make it sound like Heat. And they got pissed off because they were like, that would just be us not doing our job.
Yeah, I like that. But it does sound like really good. It's because especially now, stuff is so overproduced. Like a lot of action movies, like these straight to like Netflix, they make stuff like. There's so many people that could just take lessons from, and just like less is more.
Yep.
Like
And
way
one of my
way
main
more.
complaints is always that like something is over choreographed, where it's just like too. It feels too rehearsed. It feels like a movie. I understand what Michael Mann is saying there.
Yeah,
What, um, but yeah, his commitment to like the realism of this movie is pretty impressive.
I don't know why I'm thinking about it, but I love the part in that heist where Tom Sizemore just like picks up a kid because he knows he can't shoot the kid,
I have
and then
I
he's
have
just
this
like,
written down too.
yeah,
Wow, Pacino is fucking
awesome.
nuts.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude, he's running like. I saw somebody say this too, and it is a good point. It's not something I noticed on the first or the second watch. It's just when this person said it, I was like, damn, they're kind of right. They're like, why would you, if you have these people robbing a bank and you're gunfire in the middle of a busy LA, like in the middle of the day in a busy LA street,
Mhm.
and you're continuing to like pursue them on foot with guns and like firing at them, like why wouldn't you just call off the chase and just try and get them later, like where there's no de-escalate the situation. And I think it's just because like they're showing that like Al Pacino,
Pacino wants to be the one to get them,
right, he's kind of like a little bit of a psycho.
even if
A
he
little.
shoots a little girl.
He doesn't really, or I think it was a boy, but
Was
It
it?
was the 70s.
I thought it was a girl.
when do you think this movie was made, Jim? Didn't I say it like three
I know it
times?
was made in 1995, but is it
Oh,
not
okay.
like back in time?
No,
No.
Really? That
He's
was
way
just
they
off.
have phones.
95?
They have
No,
cell
that was
phones.
1995.
That's crazy, dude.
Pacino has like a car phone.
Bro
That's
doesn't
like
know what the 70s look like.
that was made in like 1800 or something.
Oh
It's a
my.
cowboy movie.
What city was that in?
Detroit. No, it was made in LA.
Oh my. Okay.
They say LA. It was on the bus in the very beginning. A bus was passing by and it says Los Angeles. But anyway,
circling back to there is one thing. I mean, this isn't really a big thing, but this is just more of like the stuff that Michael Mann does that's like so great that like very few people like do stuff like this. Like there's no attention to detail, none of this like so that scene where in the diner where De Niro meets the girl,
Where
I
they
forget her
fall in
name.
love.
Yeah. And at first they're like she asked him the question and he's kind of guarded. He's like, "Why are you asking me? I'm a fucking criminal. I don't want to get arrested."
the fuck are you?
So he's being a real asshole, but then they do this like flip of when he starts to get engaged and it's like he like switches seats and it's just shot in a certain way where it's like, "Oh, that's like not like nice." You're like subtly seeing that he's opening up to this person.
He
And I think
realizes she's not a threat.
right, and I think all that little details like that go a long way with this movie and like just strengthening like motives and like characterization and like you can like the subtleties of like the characters.
Yeah.
You can kind of like read between the lines a little bit. And I think there's a lot of that in this movie, which is weird for a movie this long. Again, it's just like, why is it so long? Don't know.
To the one point, because I do agree it's way too long. But what does help that is there are so many fucking moving parts in this that are just tied so beautifully together. Like,
True.
this is a very good script, even though it is very involved. So you do see why he wanted to make it as long as it is. I still agree that there are parts that like I just did not feel engaged or thought were essential. Like I understand that they're important for the character arcs and stuff like that, but just weren't necessary at the end of the day. But you do see why it is the length that it is.
Yeah.
A little tighter. 20
I always
minutes
feel
off.
like even if it's not exactly like I can't necessarily say it's like what I want. I wouldn't change anything about it. Like it's such a great movie. Like why would I do anything to fuck with how great it is? Even if like in a perfect world I think, oh, this would be order. Like I don't know that, what do you depending on what you change, maybe it changes a lot about the movie. So I don't know. It is one of those things where I just feel like, I don't necessarily put it like as my top tier Michael Mann, even though I like a lot about it. Like I think Collateral takes a lot of what this movie does, simplifies a lot of it, and like in such an awesome way. But that's for another day.
I will say this is one of my favorite Pacino movies.
So yeah, I wanted to say something about that. So like, you see a lot of clips of this movie out of context.
He's got a
online, and like people make fun of it and stuff. And it is funny. It's supposed to be kind of funny, I think. But like the whole thing with his character is, you see when he's at home, he's not like that. He's super subdued and like looks like worn out. And like every time he has one of those scenes get out of context and like people make fun of him, like every one of those scenes he's with somebody who he's performing for. Yeah. So it's always like a criminal. It's someone who's trying to get information from. It's like something along those lines. So like it is literally Al Pacino doing a performance of a performance. So like to me, I think it's awesome. Like all those scenes I
do
love.
too.
It is one of my favorite Al Pacino movies.
And when you hear people talk about this movie, it like his performance is so divisive because some people are like, it's so over the top, and I'm like,
yeah.
But to everything you said, like it just works. Like, and it was written for him. Like everything about it, he fits so well into this.
Well, I think the reason it works is because again, like Michael Mann and the details behind the details. Like, if the logic works of the performance, then it works. Like even if you don't like, even if you only subconsciously like notice it, like your brain is kind of like trying to figure out like why would this make sense, this or that. And I just think when you like think about it, every time he does something crazy like that, it is like the logic is always sound. Like you understand why he's doing it. He's trying to get something.
My favorite one is when he takes the TV, though. Like,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
I love that. Like later in the movie, when he's driving around, the TV is in his fucking passenger seat.
Yeah, and then he throws it out of the car, and the homeless
he
guy.
throws it out of the
not
car,
homeless
and as he's driving by, you just see one dickhead like point at the TV. It's just,
pointing at the TV. He's just waiting for the bus. He's like pointing at the TV. Well, there's a TV.
He does. He does. So also, in an early version of the script, Hannah was supposed to have a cocaine addiction.
uh-huh. But they like
So
toned
that
it down
also,
for just like
I
opiates
think,
or whatever.
I don't know if they cut the script. I don't know if they cut the scenes, but it also does kind of explain why Pacino is very animated in some of these scenes. Robbie, I actually like your
Oh.
explanation of it way better.
So, you're saying he is supposed to have an addiction?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were. I don't know why. I thought you were talking about the daughter.
Yeah, that's
but-
what I thought. That's what I thought.
No.
Yeah,
Hey,
but-
because
yeah,
his
that
name's
makes even
Hannah.
less sense. The
Yeah.
daughter would make sense. Yeah, Al Pacino. I don't know if I would like that. I think it's better the way they.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
Give me all you got.
Give me all you got. I love that.
Right
My
ass.
Empathy
You're so
was
good.
yesterday. Today you're wasting my motherfucking time.
Oh, if we're talking about great lines, that reminds me. Another one of my favorite scenes is when De Niro's on the phone with the Van Sant guy.
Yeah.
And what does he say? He says something like,
I'm talking to an empty phone.
I'm talking to an empty phone or an empty line or something like that. And he's like, what? What are you talking about?
There's a dead
Because
man.
there's a dead man on the other end. That was fucking
Yeah.
cool, bro. Oh my God.
It's
And like, De Niro's very, I'm going to call the performance very understated.
in true De Niro fashion.
Certain points, there's like shit, like he just like fucking hits a
Yeah.
and it's just
He
awesome.
really nails the intensity of it, even though it is understated.
Yeah. Jim, I'm curious, like, well, how about going back to Al Pacino? Like, it's your first viewing. Was any of that like too much for you, or did you feel like it all like was fine?
I thought that it was fine because of the way that he was saying it. Like you were saying before, there was like a reason for why he's doing it. He's either like being super animated because he's trying to like intimidate a criminal, or like a criminal that he knows that he like can and needs to in that moment.
Own Loke.
Like, you know, he's going up to them informant dudes and just basically like fucking screaming at them for being dipshits. That's what they need. But also, I just think that he himself just has a way of speaking that is like different. Like it's just different from everybody else. That
Yeah, I
don't
agree.
know. Like his
This
his
movie-
presence alone is like different than anything. You know what I mean?
I wonder if they must have had De Niro and Pacino separate the whole time until they met, because it really is at certain points. Not really saying this in a bad way. It might sound that way, but it does feel like they're almost in different movies sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
they're like kind of on their own thing. But it's interesting how it all comes together when they do meet. It's like they kind of find that.
So
Find
De
it in the
Niro,
scene.
De Niro himself suggested that the diner scene not be rehearsed ahead of time to make it feel like that intentionally.
Interesting. I like that.
I had a lot of time to
You
prepare
kinda
for this
feel
one.
that.
I have a lot of facts.
Yeah, you kind of feel that during the movie. Like I
Yeah.
almost like you, even though like I didn't know that, but I could feel that kind of. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing.
It's interesting. They both had a lot of artistic influence into the movie, which I think is one of the reasons that works so well.
You're talking about that scene. Another thing about that scene, I remember I wrote it down. Like, there's a point. I think it's Al Pacino says one of them says it. They're talking about what's going to happen. Is one going to kill the other one, or who's going to kill who? And then they're like, well, maybe we'll never see each other again. Maybe that. And then they kind of have this moment where they hit each other, and it's like it is really good acting. You can almost like hear their thoughts. nope, that's not gonna happen. Like
This isn't.
I'm definitely gonna see you.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
isn't.
Yeah.
This is a compliment. It's not meant to sound shitty. But De Niro does really his best work when he doesn't have lines.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I
And
mean,
that's
not
not a
that he's
diss.
bad. Yeah, it's not that he's
No.
bad when he has lines. It's just he's a good like behind the eyes actor. Like
Yeah.
he's when he's thinking, like you're trying to figure out what he's thinking.
Ooh.
Like in Raging Bull, like before he starts, before he goes, let me ask you a question. You fuck my wife? Like before that, when he's just looking at him, and like you can feel it, like the buildup, the emotional buildup. Like he's always been really good at that.
Yeah. To make a reference that plugs our other podcast, Real Graps Pod, there are some wrestlers that are really good off the cuff when they, you stick a microphone in their face, and some they need a full script or else they look like a dork.
Yeah.
De Niro wasted his potential. He should have been a wrestler.
He
You're
should have.
absolutely right.
Yeah,
He
so
should have.
true. I
That would have been.
agree. Hulk versus De Niro, that would be tough.
Did you fuck my wife? He's yelling. Look like, yeah, brother. Yeah, brother, I did.
There was something else. I think Christian kind of mentioned it, but with this movie, like the city backgrounds, it's amazing just how often, and there's so much thought that goes into it, how often a way to get these like beautiful cityscapes behind the actors, like almost in most of the scenes in the movie, because like that's not always easy to do. It takes a lot. That takes a lot of preparation.
He makes it feel so crowded and active, but yet so like lonely at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it.
Which
Because
suits the
all that's
characters.
going on.
It does.
You know all that's going on behind them, but like when they're in the scene, it might just be a quiet scene and not much is happening. Yeah, it's interesting. So that was another thing. It's all the Michael Mann stuff. I will always defend him. I think one of those guys where he's just like, technical
can you say that one more
mind.
time? Your mic cut out.
So I was just saying, Michael Mann. I will always defend Michael Mann. Think of him like he's just one of these like he's like such a great technical mind. Like he's so creative in a lot of ways. One of the things in this movie that's great is all the blocking, and he's really like, like crazy, like scene, like set pieces, like the bank heist and all these other scenes, like the when they get the armored car, they hit it with the semi.
Yeah.
All the blocking and all these scenes and like the details, he's so good at all of that. But that's he's not like a perfect
blocking.
Oh yeah.
No.
So blocking is like where the characters are, how they're moving, what they're doing, like all the physical actions of the characters,
and like where you place them in reference to camera or like in a scene and stuff like that. So like Spielberg's known for that. It's fitting
my
stuff.
My favorite example of it. Oh, I'm sorry, Rob.
No, I was just saying it's fitting stuff in the frame and like.
My favorite example of it is when right before Val Kilmer shows up at the apartment where the cops and his wife are.
Yeah, that is a really good one.
The car pulls up. You see her on the balcony. You see the cop in the background behind her. The blocking and the camera movement, but
you see the guys playing basketball. You see the guys playing basketball behind
that
them
whole
too.
scene,
and then they join the scene later on.
That whole thing is just perfect.
Yeah. But all that said about him, this movie is great, but like it does lead to what I think becomes his problem in movies that are not quite as where stuff is dragged out and over can get stale. Like he is so style is and it is like really like he shoots movies beautifully, but it almost can sometimes be like dead. Like it's so reserved or it's almost like dead. It's not really a problem in this movie, but in some of his especially like his more recent. I remember like Ali is one that's like it's not a terrible movie, but it's just like it's so uninteresting.
It doesn't feel like a Michael Mann
pretty
movie.
Nice, but it's like I don't know. I just think the point being he is so like that's why I think it's like the definitive Michael Mann. Because it's so you're getting the best of him in this from this movie, and the movie gets the best out of it. It's exactly what this kind of story needs.
Oh, I feel like we should. I don't know. I kind of just want to talk about the one character that had like the long hair that basically like fucks up. Like he basically sets the entire plot off. I forget his name.
Waingro.
Wayne. Yeah.
Oh, Waingro. I was gonna say Val Kilmer.
I
No.
completely missed. I had to. I had to rewatch it because so yesterday we watched the movie, me and Rob, and I was dreaming about the movie, and the scene where he has like sex with the underage prostitute.
Was she underage?
Well, do they
reveal that
well, I
later,
don't know.
don't they?
So maybe I put two and two together. Is he the one that was killing all the underage prostitutes, or that was just a different bit in the movie?
No, it was him.
Yeah, I
okay.
think it is.
So like
Yeah.
they're
You're
doing
right.
that scene, and I, for whatever reason, I thought that he had a swastika tattoo. So I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was like, he definitely didn't have it. And I woke up and looked, and he does. He does have a swastika
Yeah,
tattoo.
he references it.
What?
Yeah, he has a swastika.
He
He
references
tattoo.
actually has a swastika?
He says it to the prostitute.
Yes,
He's
but
like,
it's also like a huge, like big piece on his chest with not just a swastika, like a whole like iron.
I didn't even
eagle or
notice
whatever.
that.
he
What
says it
I
to the
didn't even notice.
prostitute. He
Yeah.
says, "Do you know what these mean?" Yeah, right before he kills her.
Yeah, because that's why I was like, "Why are you?"
Was it a swastika? I didn't see that.
It was
I
a
thought
it was
else.
literally like an entire piece where it was like a swastika on the very top, and then it was like an iron eagle type beat.
Oh, I don't know if I noticed that. Wow, weird.
Yeah, I was like, "Damn, I
Interesting.
didn't imagine this. This is real."
Yeah.
Another interesting tattoo bit about this movie: De Niro has like a Marine Corps tattoo on his arm in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that Pacino was a Marine before he was a cop. So it's just another very, very subtle nod to how similar the characters are, that they were both Marines.
Yeah, wow.
And with that, that's like my last fun fact. I think I got them all out.
I think the only other thing, I mean, again, it's all kind of going over. I mean, I wrote down, I think like nobody shoots urban environments at night better than Michael Mann. I think like, I don't know what they do, but in this movie and Collateral, every time it's night, it just looks awesome. Although there was one scene, again with De Niro, and I never remember the name. You said it like 3 times. But the girl he's with or whatever, and they're on a roof.
Edie.
And it looks like they're in front of a green screen. That's like the only scene in the movie where it looks like actually terrible.
I think there's some good shots on The Insider as well that are similar to that. I could be misremembering them.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing we were dying laughing at is there's a scene. I don't know why we thought this was so funny, but Pacino's character walks in. He just had a fight with his and he walks into the kitchen, turns the sink on like he's gonna and then just slams it off. He just gets really mad and slams it off.
I whispered to Rob,
I'm not doing the dishes.
I whispered to Rob as he angrily he stares at the faucet, slams it, and I said, "He doesn't know how to do the dishes."
That was so funny. We were cracking up.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else on this movie. I mean, I think a lot of the stuff with the women is like really interesting. Just how and you guys basically, how they interact, that angle of the whole thing, like, and Ashley Judd's character, I think one of the if not the best character, best. It's really good. And I think that's it. I don't really have much else. I mean, Michael Mann's great. Could have been shorter, but it's a really complex story that kind of like is also not. It's very approachable to like because of all the great action set stuff. Like you see like film bros and shit, like dumb people basically, not to be like also like this movie. Like it's not just for people that are like whoever, this is a movie anybody can enjoy, even though it's
for everyone.
so long.
So, what are we gonna watch next time?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've dictated the first two movies of this podcast, so I am going to take an active backseat. I will say
we all do three. I thought we all picked three.
Oh, was that the deal? Well, okay, so I was about to
so.
reference the thing that we talked about on the last pod. We all picked three movies. That was just a bit. We can do that if you guys want to. I just thought it was funny because we like all picked out like a bunch of movies and we chose none of them.
No, we did. Heat was
Heat actually on there?
You suggested it.
Okay, never mind. That whole
you did this 2 weeks in a row. You did it the last time too. You were like, "Who suggested Dirty Harry?" You did.
I like that we picked three to talk about.
Yeah,
and then I picked from there.
I am open to doing whatever movie. I feel like I picked two now. I have to defer to somebody else.
I again forgot to prepare for this part.
That makes it so much better.
Well,
yeah,
we could defer back to the list that we did, but I'm striking click in the proposal off mine. So we're gonna look at. We could just look at your choices, or we could just off the bean.
Do you want to keep our choices from last time, or do you want to do other choices?
Oh, you know what we should do? You know what we should do? We'll do this live right now. This is off the bean. You guys give me your answers, and I'll do like one of them. What is it called? Where you can make like a wheel, and we could spin the wheel. Wheel spin thing. Wheel spin generator. There we go. So you guys think of something while I do some. Okay, this isn't as cool as I thought it was. Maybe I do this. Okay, I think. How many entries are there?
It would be 9.
Okay.
3.
You guys. Well, I guess just let me see. If you're watching the audio only, you don't get to see the process. But if you're watching the video version of this on YouTube, Spotify, whatever, I will be pulling up the screen image in a sec. Screen, blah, bang. There we go. All right, so we have our screen here. Name a movie, somebody.
One of mine will be let's see. I'll say Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Dawn
just because
of the Planet. Okay, I'm just gonna do apes. There you go. It looks better.
Another one I'll do is Fear and Loathing in Los.
Fear and Loathing. I'll just do Fear and.
And then my third one, I'll do Arrival.
Arrival?
Yeah.
Okay. Hit me with some.
Ooh. I got to pick 3, huh? I'm gonna do it off. Like I don't know. I'll just name 3 movies, I guess. Shadow of a Vampire.
Vampire. Okay.
Man, you're really putting me on the spot here.
It's okay. This is the fun part about,
Shadow of Vampire.
I'll name one. Peanut Butter Falcon.
Okay.
Unfrosted, starring Jerry Seinfeld.
Okay, I got one when you're ready.
Okay, go ahead.
There Will Be Blood.
Oh, I saw that one.
Oh, well, should I pick a different movie?
No, I don't mind watching it again.
Do it again.
Did we
could
see
do
that
it again.
together, Rob, or did I see that on
Yeah,
my
we
own?
did. We watched it
yeah.
not long ago, but it is good.
I drink it
And
up.
also, Quentin Tarantino says that that's a movie that demands to be seen twice. So you've only seen it once, Jim. But really, you haven't seen it.
I guess because like if you know, so you get to look at it at a different perspective.
Yeah.
Let me.
And
Okay.
I found that true actually on my second viewing.
So, not to be the film bro,
Okay.
but I'm going to suggest Yo Jimbo.
Okay.
I'm okay with foreign stuff because I am gonna eventually. I am gonna.
I'm trying to limit that for now, but I think that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? If you want to see a movie you haven't seen before, I have one to replace There Will Be Blood, but it's up to you.
No, I don't mind.
No, I say yeah. If you have one,
okay.
I would say we can always do There Will Be Blood later.
Okay.
Okay.
So this one, Robbie might disagree with me. So I'll need his approval, but for a few dollars more.
I think it's okay. I mean, the first one I saw was Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, so I don't really think it matters what order you see them in. But
and I think
whatever one you see first will be your favorite.
Yeah.
So
well, I actually for a few dollars more was probably the last one I saw, and it is my favorite.
I do love that. That one is. I love all of them. It's so hard for me.
I really think that one
defer to
captures Sergio Leone at Sergio Leone the best.
Yeah, I defer to the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly just because it's the one I.
Yeah, so those are
like ambitious one.
So those are my three. I'm sorry that took me like 20
No,
minutes.
you're good. And then my final two are going to be Scarface and The Whale.
Oh, dude, you know what? Scarface, I was like, literally, that's what I was trying to think of. I want to watch Scarface.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you said that. You said The Whale is the other one?
Yeah.
Damn.
It won an Oscar or a Grammy, whatever.
I'm going to have a fucking field day with that one.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So for you guys can't see it, but I'll be clicking and we will see what's up. The wheel is rolling. Fear and Loathing.
All right.
Oh. Have you seen this, Christian?
Oh, yeah. I've read the book, too.
Okay. It's one of my favorite movies. I love it. But I've only seen it once.
Wow.
So I guess, I don't know, can I really say it's my favorite?
Oh, wow.
I'm excited to watch it again.
That's great.
All right. Fear and Loathing.
Yeah, man. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Oh, wait. Don't you want to we do the thing at the end where you talk about...
Oh. You know what I just saw? So, again, the rant... Okay, so you know how earlier in the pod, like, an hour ago, I talked about my letterbox? If you look at my letterbox, the things that I watch on my own, I just kind of give, like, a rating. And the things that I talk about on the pod, I'll try and, articulate my thoughts on in the review. So this week I've been watching a lot of nonsense. So I watched Kung Fu Panda 3, Shark Tale, The Prince of Egypt. I did knock out a couple movies. I thought The Prince of Egypt, I will say, I gave it 4 stars. I liked it.
That is a banger. It is a banger. It's true.
And it doesn't really smash Christianity on you. Like if you're an atheist, it's like, oh, okay, this is just kind of like magic. It's not it's not just smashing Christianity down your throat.
That's such a great way to look at it. That's so funny. Yeah. That is a banger. That's a banger movie.
What have you guys been watching?
I watched I'm sorry, Jim. What were you saying?
No, I was asking you, what have you guys been watching? I
watched many things, but I watched the 3 that I love this year. Oh, I almost fucking choked on. Never mind. The 3 things I love that I watched recently, I saw The Order with Christian Law and Nicholas Hoult. That was awesome. I watched The Piano Lesson with John David Washington, and it's directed by Malcolm Washington, Denzel Washington's sons, and Sam Jackson's in it. It's really good. It's not one of the best movies I've seen this year, but it's a very and the intro is really cool. And then I saw Niro, which is one of the best movies. As good as everybody says it is, it's better. And then I watched Die Hard yesterday. I am here to end the discussion. It is a Christmas movie. If you say it's not a Christmas movie, you're wrong. You are wrong.
Wrong.
It is a Christmas movie. And then I watched Black Christmas. That's also good.
Mm.
And that's all I watched.
What about you, Christian? What have you been chowing down on?
Like Rob said, I went to see The Order with him. Spectacular. I'll save my thoughts for that for maybe another podcast down the line. But it was amazing. I rewatched Tombstone last night because I had nothing else to do.
You know what? I haven't seen that one. That's with Val Kilmer, right?
Oh yeah, it's as pretty perfect of Western as you can get, I think. Like a modern Western.
Who else is in that? Is that Gene Hackman?
No, that's The Quick and the Dead.
Oh, okay.
Tombstone is Sam Elliott, Kurt Russell.
Oh, Kurt Russell. That's who it was. I was trying to think.
A few others. I'm sure I
Yeah.
can't think of them right now. But yeah, that's like a movie that I will just watch when it's on. It's one of those for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess recently still watching Mad Men, so I don't have a whole lot of new stuff to talk about.
Yeah. I get one more thing. Actually, I did rewatch Deadpool and Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
On Disney Plus because it's on there now, and gotta say that was rough. That was a rough one.
When you expect all the jokes, it's
yeah. That's exactly what it is. It was fun in the theater, and then after 45 minutes, oh my, this is all there is.
Yeah.
There's nothing left.
I've seen it twice, and I think the part I appreciated the most was the end. I think I still liked a lot, but other than that,
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. That's it.
Alrighty, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening to us yap about various thoughts on things that matter. Make sure you check out all the socials linked in the descriptions of wherever platform you're watching below. Check us out on Spotify, YouTube, and just added Apple Podcasts. I figured out how to make it work. Give us 5 stars. If not, I will find you. Thank you for tuning in. See you later.